1968-69 The 1968-69 Marion Giants lost a controversial state finals game to George McGinnis-led Indianapolis, Washington. Yet many consider this version of the Marion Giants the greatest of them all. Mike Lepresti, former USA Today writer, considers the 68-69 Giants the finest team to ever play in the North Central Conference, which has produced 25 boys state basketball champions. Possessing size, quickness, and athleticism, the Giants had the ideal combination of power and finesse, along with exceptional outside shooting, passing ability, and defense. The Jack Colescott coached Giants had 3 players go on to play NCAA Division I basketball, 1 go on to play for the NFL's Oakland Raiders, and 2 who played professional basketball in Europe. Presenting to the Giants are Hall of Fame board members Chuck Landis and Ken Hill. We ask that those members of the Giants please stand, and as we call your name, if you would come forward and receive your award from Ken and Chuck. John Chin. Dan Gunn. David Johnson. Brent Myers. Greg Oradat. Don Pettifer. Jovan Price, represented by his brother, Jovan. Ned Rencher, who was unable to attend today. Larry Richardson. Jerry Scroggins, who was unable to attend today. Avis Stewart. Joe Sutter. Jerry Townsend, who is represented today by his wife, Jimmy. Principal was Paul Weaver. Athletic Director, Art Caldwell, who is unable to attend today. Varsity Assistant Coach, Dick Persinger. Athletic trainer for the Giants was Stu Miller. The statistician was Jim Butler. The manager was Les Cole. The other manager, Larry Harrell. Cheerleaders for the 68-69 Giants, Bonnie Rankin Cole. Nancy Colescott Heaton. Valerie Hughes Lynch. Kathy P. Hyatt. And last but certainly not least, the head coach of the 1968-69 varsity Giants basketball team, head coach Jack Colescott.
My job today is to talk about the team that is about to be inducted into the Grant County Sports Hall of Fame, the 1969 Marion Giant basketball team. First, I want to recognize my two assistant coaches. I want one of them, Dick Persinger, the other one, Bill McCauley, I don't think was able to be here today. I want to tell you, those two were outstanding coaches in their own right. And the three of us really, no matter what you hear, we got along great. And we meet every once in a while for lunch, we talk on the phone, and I want to tell you, the three of us, every time we get together, we reminisce and talk about how much this team has done for us, how much they have done for Marion High School, and how much they have done for the community of Marion. Those were wonderful times for sure. Those of you who followed basketball back in those years, you may remember some of these accomplishments. Let me just go through them real quick. They won the first 27 games of the year. They won the holiday tournament, the NCC championship, the sectional, regional, and semi-state, and were in the elite state final foursome that were 4 undefeated teams in the state of Indiana. I don't think that'll ever happen again. Gary Thomason had 1 loss, but that was to a high school team out of Chicago, and they only lost by 6 games. So we are right when we say 4 undefeated teams in the state of Indiana. On that team, we had 6 seniors. What an outstanding group. How could you forget Little Joe, Joe Sutter, Colt 45, Dan Gunn. These guys all had nicknames. The Moose, Brent Myers, Cuddy, Jerry Townsend, and the Spider, Jovan Price. Our other senior, Ned Rencher, the Kid. What an outstanding group of seniors, and I want to tell you, they did so much for us. We had an outstanding junior group and sophomore. They were outstanding athletes, not only in basketball, football, baseball, you name it. They were just outstanding athletes. Who could forget John Chin, Jerry Scroggins, Ava Stewart, David Johnson, Don Pettiford, Larry Richardson, and our sophomore, Greg Oradet. They helped us so much that year, not only in coming off the bench and helping in relief, but for working so hard in practice to make that starting 5 even better. And who could forget our 2 managers? Senior, Butch Cole, Junior, Larry Harrell. And I want to tell you, Butch wanted to be here in the worst way. In fact, he had reservations. He had eye surgery on Wednesday. And I've been through that, and the surgeon told him, you can't travel for 10 days. And he had to call and cancel, but they were just 2 outstanding managers. And who could forget our 5 beautiful cheerleaders? Bonnie Rankin, Kathy Pete, Nancy Colescott, Valerie Hughes, and Kathy Weller. And I want to tell you, I'll never forget the sight of That group over there, we were seated over here, the two teams. That group took up that whole downstairs section, nearly 500 girls and 200 boys, and that pep band down at the end here, all under the leadership of Jim Moritz and Pat Harrell. I want to guarantee you they kept the crowd fired up, and we were so pleased. That made it sort of like, you know, the sixth man. Isn't that what they call them? I know a lot of teams didn't care to come in here to Memorial Coliseum. However, I want to finish up just by telling you some things that Coach Persinger and I remember about this 69 team. Real quick like, they withstood a ton of pressure all year long. 1 week before the season started, Jim Butler came into my classroom early Monday morning. Congratulations, Coach. For what? He held up that Indianapolis Star front page headlines. Indianapolis, Washington, Marion, #1. I said, Jim, we haven't even played a game yet. And I could just see every team on our schedule cutting that out and putting that on display in their locker room. They couldn't wait to play Marion and Indianapolis, Washington. They really did. They had a lot of pressure on them from day one. They were unselfish. They really didn't care who scored. We had 3 that averaged 14 points a game, Sutter, Gunn, and Townsend. We had our defensive whiz, Jovan Price, who averaged 10 points a game. And we had our big center, the Moose, who took care of rebounding and the inside game, and he averaged 8 points a game. And we had guys coming off the bench who could score when they had to. This group was unselfish. They had a lot of giant pride. They really cared about the way they looked, the way they acted, the way they worked in school, and the way they performed on the floor. They were willing to do the dirty work. If you're not sure what that means, Coach Persinger and I always believe you want to win the big games, there's 2 things you got to have. Tough team defense, and you got to control the boards. That year, we held our opponents to 52 points a game, while we scored 67. And on the boards, they averaged 22 rebounds a game, we averaged 42. That was the dirty work, and that was the reason why they were so successful. They had tremendous support, especially at home. 52-36, does that number ring a bell with anybody? That was back when they had the bad Coliseum blast down at the fairgrounds and people were killed. They sent fire chiefs out every gym in the state to find out what the maximum capacity should be with the number of doors that you had. 52-36, they had signs all the way around. That year, Art Caldwell, our AD, he told me they sold 5,000 season tickets. The other 200 they sent to the opposing team. He didn't even have to sell tickets. They had a lot of support. And away from basketball, they were great role models. Leaders in school. Purse reminded me of this. 69 and 70 was not a real good year for some schools. Marion, Anderson, Kokomo, Muncie, race riots, mostly caused by people from the outside coming in and stirring up trouble. And he's mentioned many times, we owe a lot to these basketball players, managers, cheerleaders. They were such good role models. They had so many friends in school, and they kept it from being any worse than it was going to be. Going to church as a team, one of my greatest thrills. We came home from a late away game on Saturday night, and I told Dave, why don't we just invite them? I'm going to church. You come go to my church, and we'll invite them to come. Now, it had to be voluntary. Obviously, we couldn't compel them. And we just threw it out. It was late. I said, any of you like to go to church with us? Meet us at First Methodist Church, 9:45, and we'll enjoy church. Would you believe every varsity player was there the next day? And the next week we went to Dick's church. And then some of the parents said, well, you might ask them if they'd like to come to our church. We went all the way around. And obviously the B team said, how come we can't go? I said, no one ever said you couldn't go. And having a cheerleader at home, I got it there too. Why can't we cheerleaders go? We started having an entourage of 30 people in different churches every Sunday. I want to tell you, that did all of us so much good. Most important, these young people, guys and gals, they had great parents. I want to tell you, a person I've talked so many times, how lucky we were to have parents who taught them about discipline, work ethic, respect, having pride in everything that you do. Those things that coaches sometimes feel like we got to do on our own, our parents did it for us. Made our job so much easier. I've always said, a good basketball team, managers, and cheerleaders, they can become the best ambassadors a high school and community could ever have. Well, I want to tell you, these young guys and gals were great ambassadors for Marion High School and for the community. And all of them have gone on to be successful in their later lives using what they had learned in school and in basketball. And I want you to know, Coach Persinger and I are just so proud of each and every one of you today. Congratulations.